So a catastrophic impairment is actually a defined term under the statutory accident benefit schedule. There's 3 different levels of coverage under an accident benefit policy. The first level is for minor injuries. The second level is for non-minor injuries and non-catastrophic impairment injuries. And then there's the third category, which is the subject matter of this discussion, which is for catastrophic impairment claims. Now, catastrophic impairment is a defined term. A lot of people contact us and they say, oh, I have a catastrophic injury. There's a difference between an injury and an impairment. And the statutory accident benefit schedule, which is the governing legislation that deals specifically with catastrophic impairments, it sets out the 8 criteria in which a person who sustained a catastrophic impairment can qualify under. Now, there's different tests for each criteria, and I'm happy to go through those 8 criteria because it's important to understand what those criteria are. So the first criteria pertains to paraplegia or tetraplegia. Those are self-explanatory. So if you have a very severe spinal cord injury that gives rise to paraplegia or tetraplegia, you would qualify under criterion 1. Criterion 2 deals with amputations or impairment to a person's ability to ambulate or their mobility. So again, if you lose a limb, or even if you don't lose a limb, but the effect of which is why, again, the term impairment is so important, giving rise to your ability to not be unable to walk, or you need assistive devices to walk, that would be a criterion 2 claim. Criterion 3, again, is a very rare type of claim, and it deals with the loss of vision of both of your eyes. Okay, so again, effectively, you have to be blind in order to qualify under criterion 3. But again, you cannot use these terms in a layperson sense or an ordinary sense. Again, these are defined terms, and there are specific medical tests that determine whether or not you in fact have a loss of vision in both eyes. So the fourth criteria in order to qualify for catastrophic impairment pertains to individuals that are over the age of 18, and it focuses on traumatic brain injury. And frankly, then there's a 2-part test which has to be satisfied, one of which you actually have to demonstrate what the test says is positive findings on accepted imaging, so CT scan, MRI, which you actually have to be able to see whether it's a brain bleed or some trauma to the brain that is positive. A radiologist or a neuroradiologist will interpret those findings, which is the first part of the test for criterion 4 claims. The next part is that you then have to have a variety of assessments, generally done by an occupational therapist or a nurse, and frankly a neurologist or a qualified physician, where they do what's considered the Glasgow Outcome Scale or the Extended Glasgow Outcome Scale. Again, these are a different test. You have to satisfy both provisions under criterion 4 in order to qualify for catastrophic impairment. The 5th criteria is for children, or those that are under the age of 18, and it deals again with traumatic brain injuries involving minors. Again, the tests are different, and there's specifics that have to be identified and accepted in order for a criterion 5 claim to be successful. Now, criterion 6, really 6, 7, and 8 is where the bulk of litigation stems from. And the 6th criterion deals with physical impairments. And the law talks about how those physical impairments have to result in what is considered a whole person impairment of over 55%. So a doctor, a physician, will, using, again, certain tests and certain methodologies, will qualify what level of impairment there is for certain parts of the body and or disabilities. If it totals over 55% whole person impairment, you'll be found to be catastrophically impaired. Criterion 7 deals with a combination of both mental and physical impairments that cause a person's impairment to rise above 55% whole person impairment. So most people's injuries or impairments are a combination of both physical impairments, meaning you have residual issues relating to broken bones, neurological issues, soft tissue injuries, whatever it is that have functional impairment. But the second component then looks at your mental and behavioral disorders that stem from the accident. Again, when you add the two together, even though there's a very specific formula that is set out as to how to combine both the physical and mental components, if it reaches a point where there's 55% or more whole person impairment, then you qualify under Criterion 7. Now, Criterion 8 is the final criteria, and it applies to mental and behavioral disorders. And again, there's specific tests, and under the mental and behavioral disorder category, there's really 4 spheres of function that the test looks at, one of which is your activities of daily living. The other is your social functioning. The other is your concentration, persistence, and pace. And then there's also adaptation, or work adaptation, or adaptation in work-like settings. So these are all an analysis of somebody's life, and the whole purpose of Criterion 8 is to see how your mental and behavioral disorders that have arisen because of the accident impair your ability to function under those spheres. Now, the test has become more onerous for a Criterion 8 case following the June 1st, 2016 amendments, and you now require 3 marked impairments or 1 severe impairment or extreme impairment in order to qualify. The benefits of qualifying for catastrophic impairment are significant. Rather than receiving $65,000 worth of treatment, which ends after 5 years, you can receive up to $1 million worth of medical treatment, attendant care over the course of your life. It would be considered a lifetime benefit. Catastrophic impairment also opens up other avenues of recourse. For instance, you can receive a housekeeping and home maintenance benefit for life of up to $100 per week. For persons that were not working at the time of the accident, and potentially they could have been on a non-earner benefit, or even if they were working but not receiving a lot in terms of income replacement benefit, you do have 30 days to re-elect following a designation of catastrophic impairment to a caregiver benefit. So for instance, if you're a stay-at-home parent and you have multiple children, you can receive up to, well, the first child receives $250, and then the remaining children all each receive $50 per week. Well, the child doesn't, the claimant does, and that money is designed to help pay for child care through a professional service provider.